ya estamos aquí con artista Stacey Kirby. Hi Stacey, how are you doing?
Doing well. How are you, Raphael?
Thank you, I'm doing fine as well.
Good.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask you some questions, is that fine?
Okay, that's great.
Okay, so Stacey, what is a performance?
Such a tiny question there. For me, I think performance is when an artist decides to use their body in their work and engage with an audience. In my situation, my personal journey with performance is to engage with participants as well as performers. So there are multiple people that are involved. And I'm speaking and also engaging through motion and with objects within a site-specific installation, art installation.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What is a performance civil presence about?
It's about having people try to experience what other people's lived experience in this country is right now. And a lot of that centers around the Latinx community, but also communities of color and the history of race in this country and of the immigration issues and treatment of people trying to be citizens in this country. So a lot of what goes on in my work is putting people in a little bit of an uncomfortable situation through paperwork and bureaucratic process, but yet we're still kind to them as performers, still kind, and we don't force anyone to do anything, but we kind of push at their comfort zone, so maybe they'll start to understand just a little bit what other people are experiencing that are not just like them, that live in different communities. Yeah.
Yes. What is the objective in these type of performances?
What I'm hoping is that people will come into the offices and sit beside one another and go through these processes of filling out paperwork related to immigration and perhaps reflect upon other people's lived experiences. They won't fully understand it because we can't always fully understand anyone else's lived experience, but maybe we can get that much closer and understand that we're all humans and we all are experiencing different struggles in our lives depending on who we are and how we're being treated, and that connects us and not necessarily divides us, and that hopefully some type of understanding and connection comes from all of that.
Mm-hmm. Why are these type of events important for the Hispanic community?
Yeah, see, that's a really hard question for me because I'm not in the Hispanic community. I can't speak for the Hispanic community. That is not what I'm trying to do. I'm actually trying to amplify the voices of the Hispanic community. And that's what I've done through previous work, like Yo Soy Valida, the billboard that I did, and also the mural that's in the other gallery, which we can see later. But that was a result of working with a mentee in a mentorship position, a 17-year-old who lives in Durham. Her name's Jennifer Dominguez, and hearing her stories of her family struggles and wanting to amplify her voice and what they've been going through the privilege that I have as an artist and a person that is white in this country. So for me, the importance through the work that I'm doing is amplifying someone else's voice, not speaking necessarily for them, specifically with the Hispanic community. I'm trying to share the stories that and the observations and the witnessing that I've done through current events, through personal experience with Jennifer, but not try to inauthentically represent that community's experience. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And it's a tricky line because as an artist, I have a responsibility to, and what I do in my work often is to amplify other people's voices and share their stories, but not tell the story through my filter as a white person in this country. It's for them to share, right? So there's always an option in my work for people to write. And that comes from them and from their hand and from their voice. And that's a really important aspect of my work because that is not filtered through me necessarily. I am a conduit to share their stories. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay, great.
So what exactly is civil presence, and why did you choose that name for your performance?
Well, I think it comes back to the term civilian. And also, just to start out, I had some creative friends in Durham approach me about doing a project with them within this larger collaboration. And they gave us a theme of absence and presence and absence, and kind of vacillating between those two areas. And for me, I kept thinking about the Hispanic community being forced into having a sense of presence, kind of with all the fear that's happening. Like, we're going to call you out of where you are and focus on you, and then but ask you to also disappear and fall to the wayside and not be prominent, yet we also want to hold you accountable for all of these laws and all of these restrictions that we've created within this country, And so what I found through speaking with Jennifer and hearing her stories is that her family is constantly vacillating through trying to navigate these processes and these hoops that they have to jump through, and then also protect themselves when administrations change and laws shift and politics take hold, and there's a state of fear that happens. So for me, civil presence is connected to citizenship, being a civilian in this country, what that means for different people, and then also just contemplating, are we feeling a sense of presence, or are we feeling a sense of absence, and where are we on that spectrum? The level of privilege, how easy it is for us to go to a DMV and get a license. And that's why in this piece, I actually ask people for their valid ID, and then I don't want to ruin it, but I reject their IDs. And I actually say, well, due to fraudulent activity, I can no longer accept driver's licenses. And I have people respond really intensely to that. And these are people, because they can just go get a driver's license and this is their form of validation, right? Mm-hmm. And when I just choose to reject it, they don't really know what to do with themselves.
They've never been in that situation before where they don't have that authority just because they have a driver's license and they can... Yeah. Exactly.
So it starts to put them, perhaps they can feel just a little bit what that might feel like, to the Hispanic community that's constantly having to deal with, and also the other communities of color that are being pulled over and interrogated and, put on the spot and don't have the same level of rights, even though we're all free in this country. We really aren't, so it's a challenge. It's a different level of challenge than a lot of people can really understand. But at least we can try to scrape the surface by pointing out some of the basic things, such as getting a driver's license. Because it's so basic to so many people, but it's so challenging for so many others. So.
And trying to make people know about the difficulties of the Hispanics.
Yeah.
People of color too.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I've heard people just say, well, why don't they just go get a green card? Or like, why don't they just become citizen? And I'm like,
That's not how it works.
It's not how it works. And also the laws keep changing. So even if you're in the process, what I understood from Jennifer is you can be in the process of trying to do the right thing, but then a president will be elected and the laws will change, and then that process changes, and then you revert back to where it's just very confusing, and I think it's purposefully confusing, and that's the part that's frustrating. It doesn't need to be that hard, and it makes people feel less than and like the other when you shouldn't be. We're all immigrants in this country. We really are. As much as people argue we're not, we really are. So
this one is the last one.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Okay, so what will you do with the data of the performance?
So what I do with the performance and this tags, which I can hold up here. This is the Spanish version. Oh my gosh, we're attached here. So people fill out their statement of presence here, and then I cut this off, and I actually cut this off as well, because we have fingerprints. I don't want to ruin too many things, but there's fingerprinting that happens too. And so this bottom portion, we display it in the archives room through the end of the exhibition, so everyone can read other people's statements of presence or their responses. It's kind of a free write situation. And then I send them to a public official of their choice. And if they don't have a selection of someone that they want to hear their voice, then I can make a suggestion, or actually I would love to hear what public official you would send people's responses to.
So this will be at the performance?
Well, yeah, this will be happening at the performance, and we'll actually send them when the performances are over.
Yes.
Yeah, they culminate in the end. But yeah, so that's where this part of the tag goes. Now, the performer actually keeps this part, and they will be wearing this on their person. And there's a little diagram here of how you can attach it to your body. Just in case you're confused.
Just in case.
Yeah. So they actually keep all of their data and all of this part. And then this part I keep because I found that I really liked having people's fingerprints. I'm not going to do anything with their fingerprints. And I might make art with them at some point, but I like to keep them and have them as a visual reminder of the work. And then I put a slash through these fingerprints, so when we share these with public officials, and also people can, if they don't want to be fingerprinted, they don't have to.
Yeah, so you're saying that you're not forcing anyone.
I'm not forcing anyone to do anything. If they don't want to do this at all, they don't have to. If they don't want to fill in something here, I mean, it's totally optional, and all of my performers are instructed to not, force anyone to do anything. It's totally volunteer. It's performance art piece that is totally volunteer based. So, yep. The campus of Appalachian State, Smith Gallery, and me as an artist, as Stacey Kirby, would like to invite you in the Hispanic community to come take part in this performance work. You can perform in it, and you can also just participate in it, and you can just come and watch if you'd like to, if you don't feel comfortable actually being part of the art. It's up to you. We're just opening the invitation to you to be here and be present with us. Thank you.
Ok, amigos de Bumboñando, mañana va a ser el performance, va a ser una nueva experiencia para mí, una experiencia novedosa. Estoy muy emocionado y espero que ustedes la disfruten conmigo.